Here we are, episode 111 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. This is our opportunity to come together once a week and talk about the amazing junk removal business. So wherever you are in your business, growing, scaling, building, exiting, you've come to the right place. As always, I'm Andy Weins. He is Casey Bubba Lawrence. Casey, what are we talking about this week?
Well, I think today is a special day because we don't have a guest. So we could kind of freestyle and do what we want, not have to worry about anybody else's opinion. So that's good.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I don't like how Facebook doesn't let us interact with our group members anymore because, you know, their opinions are valuable, I think, because they are in that VIP list. So how do we get past that? Is that a question we've answered? Or do we just have to...
Yeah. I mean, how we get past that, it's technology. Yeah, we want audience participation and interaction. People can participate on the general Facebook, right? Or not. Mm-hmm. Where can they participate? Yeah, no, since the... Yeah. Taylor said, I'll get an additional link out to the VIP group and monitor all comments. Additionally, Facebook, PageMan, and YouTube link work well for interaction. Okay, so there's a chance. However, yeah, since Facebook changed its algorithms, our live viewership and interaction has gone down the crapper, which is not fun. That's not fun for anyone, because one of the reasons we brought it live was to have a better fan experience. So yes, Taylor will work his magic. I can do a Waste Expo recap for the people that
let's see where you.
That's interesting.
How things going for you? How was Waste Expo? I didn't get to go to Waste Expo this year. I have been just super swamped with a lot of awesome things. So, it just unfortunately wasn't trash related. So,
So Waste Expo recap. We can jump into that. Great Waste Expo. What I enjoy about it is this is my plug for anybody to go to Waste Expo or any convention or expo is the osmosis, right? Seeing things. When I go with a few check the box things, like, hey, I'm gonna do these couple things, and then beyond that, I am looking for things I've never seen before. I bought a sweeper. It was like super high speed, walk behind it, battery powered sweeper. It holds 16 gallons of dirt and water, or liquid or regular waste. So I'm looking forward to that because we got 20,000 square feet of warehouse that needs to get swept regularly. And I for years I've seen them and I've not pulled the trigger, and I finally adulted and pulled the trigger. So that was interesting. I spoke at Waste Expo. I talked about the language of leadership. So it's a lot of what I talk about in my book, and that was good. And that's the other thing. I talked to a guy Thursday, and was from a networking perspective. And one of the best things you can do networking wise is going out there and speaking, putting yourself out there and adding value from your perspective. And often when I'm speaking, it has nothing to do with the waste industry, it has nothing to do with my discipline. I'm adding a different type of value to the end user. And it really, what it comes down to is when you add value, people will remember you. That old adage, like, people remember, they don't remember what you said or what you did. They remember how they felt. And so when you add value, fucking Jonathan, I have my afternoon crash right in the middle of the fucking show. When you add value, people remember that shit. Maybe it's too much decaf coffee. I drink decaf all day. And maybe my brain
exactly
is
what
like,
it is.
Yeah, you know what? My brain is like, hey, motherfucker, we want regular shit. That's what we want. We want regular in our lives.
Actual coffee.
I want the good stuff. Water. Give me the good stuff.
Well, to your point though, with the networking. So, I was in DC recently.
Yep.
And I had a great opportunity to meet with a lot of people I normally wouldn't be in the same room with, or spend a couple of days with people that normally I'd get just a luncheon with, right? And it's cool because it was sort of intimate. I mean, in our group there was like 30 people. We stayed in the same hotel, and we broke out into different tracks during the day. We saw different congressmen and women, different congressional hearings or whatever. But the cool thing was the nighttime. Obviously, during the daytime, you're busy doing things and seeing things. In meetings, you can't really talk. But at nighttime, you get to go hang out with these higher echelon folks that are putting their hair down. And I got really good in with Lockheed, with their missile department and also their aeronautics department, which is super cool. And we've been, it goes back to, it's all about the follow up, right? Well, we spent a couple of days together, a couple of nights, on the town, DC. It was great. I've also got to spend time with some councilmen and some real estate attorneys. But when I got home, the first thing I did was follow up. Hey, it was great meeting and talking with you. Had a great time, learned a lot. Would love to catch up whenever you have a minute. That's about it. Yeah. And now, tomorrow I have 2 meetings back to back, Lockheed, then Boeing. And then I got invited to be a VIP guest to a big state lunch that Lockheed is the main sponsor for. And I'm their VIP guest. So the connection was made, the nurture, and it's part of the nurturing process is now I'm going to go to one of their events on their behalf and meet their connections. So the personal development is insane, but it took me to get outside my comfort zone and meet people I didn't know. Most were older than me and very well versed in politics, not like I am. But I'm telling you right now, it's networking 101. It really is. It's not just a happy hour meet and greet.
You're also going there without an intention, right? You're not calling on them. You're not looking to sell them. You're looking to meet with them. That's one of the challenges. What I saw in the junk and roll space, especially when it came to the franchise, it was like, oh, I went to a networking event. My phone hasn't rang. It's like, well, what else have you done? You go to like 2 networking events. You think, oh, everyone in the chambers that know who you are. You gotta go for 2 years, right? You got to put the work in. I met a woman the other day. She's been 31 years. She's been part of the Menominee Falls Chamber. And they're an IT company. So like 31 years, 31 years ago, IT wasn't like it is now, right? And she's a really good lady. And I asked her, she's like, oh yeah, we're trying out this new chamber. I go, oh, okay. What does that mean? She goes, we will try out a chamber for 3 years before we make it a determination, right? We are willing to commit to 3 years right off the bat. And I'm like, okay, right? And my rule was always like 90 and 90. First 90 days, you can prove whether or not it works. Not necessarily no. You can say, yes, it works, or you're not sure. And then the next 90 days, I can prove whether or not, right? So I'm a 6-month guy. If it ain't working after 6 months, we're probably not going to renew.
The chamber, though, it's a little different because there's a lot of variables, right? I mean, in order to maximize the actual benefits from a chamber, it actually does take about 3 years. I mean, think of all the businesses context.
No. Oh yeah, I'm always looking for an MVP. I'm looking for a minimal viable product. Did we get some connections? Did we get the phone to ring a few times? I'm not looking for did we make our ROI? No. Did we get some traction? After 6 months, if we got no traction, well, why? Right? And then it's also, we realize that commercial ones are gonna be a longer burn. So that's what's interesting. When you got some of these cats that have been on for 18 months, 2 years, and they're like, oh, it just hasn't picked up the way I thought it would. It's like, well, keep grinding because you're not there yet. And of those 2 years, how active were you in the chamber? If you go 90 days without being active in a chamber, you start the clock all over because they will
You're
forget
essentially
about
paying
you.
to just be on a list that no one looks at.
Yep, 100%. And when you go to network, when you got to go to networking events, you got to be present. Well, that's the nice thing. When I go to Waste Expo, I'm like, my team, we dial it in, we make sure the schedule's tight, and then I need to be present. I'm walking the floor. I need to be attentive, right?
Next question.
Yeah.
How do you get out of a convert? So you know exactly what I'm talking about. You go to a networking event, that second person that talks to you, you get roped into a conversation, and you're like, shit, I'm missing out on opportunities here. How do you exit that conversation without just completely blowing them off?
Sometimes you completely blow them off. I mean, I am not the one that you ought to fucking take your social cues from, right? I watch other people's body language, watch their feet. I watch people's feet, right? If one of the feet
don't necessarily watch our feet. Like sometimes I'm like, all right, I get it, but why are you still talking? I gotta,
I know. I know. I break contact. Hey, nice meeting you. I'm off to the next booth. Hey, right. Hey, great, good follow up, right? And the other, right. I spoke at Waste Expo Tuesday morning, so I know there's going to be people that are going to want to monopolize my time, and so I run with it. I don't get upset with them or butthurt Right. You have to, I guess I look at it from having this abundance mindset.
Hmm.
Actually, this happened to me. So this guy, a scrap life, Brett Eckert, he's got
Yeah.
we interviewed him on the podcast, right? He's got a couple scrap yards out of Idaho, big guy, scrap life podcast. Cool dude. So I saw him opening morning, Tuesday morning on Waste Expo. And I was meeting somebody right by the sign, and I saw him, and he was being interviewed by this woman, and he was like, I could tell he didn't want to be in the conversation. And she's interviewing him, and they're trying to get her social media game on or whatever, right? And he's like, "Hey, you know who you can talk to? You can talk to this guy. He's fucking top notch, right?" He said it to me,
I've
and I'm
done
like,
that.
"What?"
I've done
Right,
that.
exactly, right. And that was the, "Hey, I'm done with you. Let me hand you off." And then the woman didn't want to talk to me. I'm
Mhm.
like, "All right, cool." So it was a win-win. He got out of the conversation, and I got a plug, and she didn't want to talk to me anyway. So fine.
I think that's the easiest way. If you can
Make
introduce someone
make an
during your
introduction.
conversation, that's easy
Right.
out.
So for me, when I pick up on something, so in Milwaukee here, we get Northwestern Mutual, and the NM guys and women, men and women at Northwestern Mutual. Every networking event you go to, there's somebody there,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
So everyone
I
else
just
there's
signed a
fun.
policy with them.
There you go. And I have a policy. I already got a guy, right? Or Charles Schwab, right? All these whatever
Yeah.
people. And I make it very simple. Hey, I got a guy. I'm good. Thanks. Let me introduce you to somebody else. Right. Because now you can still express gratitude and show value without saying something along the lines of this conversation isn't worth my time. You can be transparent with them. And
Mhm.
often if some people like will say, like, hey, like, or I was like, hey, I'm looking to connect with business owners. I make it very clear.
Yeah.
If you're a business, right? And then you can say, hey, I'm looking, if someone's talking, you can say, hey, this is who I'm looking to connect with. Do you know that person? No. All right, I'm gonna go find them. Whoever that
Yeah.
person is, right? Whether it's an individual person or a type of person, you can always break it off and make it future focused without making it fucking awkward. Man, it might be still awkward.
Well, because for me, so here's something I learned is it has to also you have to track where the conversation's going.
Yeah.
Because I got in a conversation with an older lady who was super cool, but she was a county commissioner. Now, for political reasons, I'm sure she's very important. But for me, it was great to meet her. And even she's like, even at the end of the conversation, she said, look, I'm not sure you'll ever have a need, but if you do and I can help, please let me know. Because she kind of understood that we're probably never going to work together,
Yeah.
but it was good meeting you. Now, in that kind of conversation, though, it was kind of going on and on. She was older. And the best thing I could think of is, I need to talk to someone and I just saw them walk this way. I'm going to go grab them before they talk to someone else.
Yeah.
She 100% understood. Like, yeah, go,
Yeah.
please go. And I thought about it and I was like, that's what I'm going to start doing. Like every single time now, because two things
Yeah.
can happen. One, they'll ask you who. And if you say, oh, this person, I don't know their name and they know them, there's your introduction.
Yep.
Or two, they just let you out of the conversation because they understand.
Yep. And it's the time suck people, the busy people, the check the box people that will sit there and time suck, be like, oh, I had really good conversations. Really, why were they really good? And
Mm-hmm.
I am not interested in having the same vanilla conversation every time. And what I realize is that, it drains me. It absolutely drains me. This weekend, I read the book, The EOS Life. And so I'm big in EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's all about being in your peak performance. And it says right there, one of the quotes they use is Warren Buffett. The difference between successful people and very successful people is very successful people know how to say no. Right? They protect their time at all costs. They prioritize their time. When you're first starting in business, everybody that talks to you is a good, like, it's like, yes, you want to say yes to everybody, and you don't know, you haven't learned who to say no to yet. For me,
Right.
I can remember, this is like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I was sitting there at this restaurant, Bristol County, terrible fucking barbecue we have, god awful. And I'm sitting there with the Northwestern Mutual guy, nice fucking guy, well educated, good conversation. And I'm like, why am I here though? Like there was nothing glaringly wrong with it. I'm like, this is not a good use of my time. I'm kind of bullshitting. I'm hanging out. It's middle of the day and I'm not being productive. I'm not growing as a person. I'm also not relaxing, right? Some people, it's like, oh, that was a good
Mm-hmm.
lunch. I felt relaxed. I felt relieved. It was like, this is a taxing conversation. It's going nowhere. And then from that moment on, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be more protective of my time, even when it comes to lunch. So now, unless it's something I really want to meet with, I only do one-on-ones on lunches. When it comes to networking events, I make myself unavailable. one of the ways I make myself unavailable from the word go is I walk in. Casey, you already know this about me. I never wear a name tag. I do not. I want to make it intentionally complicated for people to come up to me, because when I walk in a room, either there's no, hey, did we ever meet before? No, you either know me or you don't. Like, it's pretty straightforward. I'm 6'4", 220 camo pants. I'm fucking loud, and my voice.
Well, it also leaves the icebreaker open. Hey, what's your name?
Yeah. Well, I leave it at that. Well, now, correct. Oh, hey, Andy, didn't we meet at the? No, we didn't. Get fucked. You don't know who I am, right? And now the other thing is, I have also, because of the work we do, the work we're doing right now, by being on a podcast, putting out content, being active on LinkedIn, I almost never have to introduce myself in networking events, and the content I put out turns a lot of people off, and so I automatically put turns off the people that aren't going to fuck with my time, because they don't want to. It is what it is.
How many cards right now? I mean, all of our listeners, how many business cards do you have right now that you A, have not contacted, B, probably won't contact, or C, you forgot you had?
Here, I have a stack right here.
I have all the above.
Yeah, I have my backpack. Yeah, I have a backpack over there with all my cards from last week, and I know. Hell, I got one in my back pocket. I had a great lunch with a guy. Sent me a fucking thank you card, and I that's fucking next level. You sent me a thank you card, handwritten thank you card with your business card. Like, that's I
got something next level.
What you got? So that's next level.
It's only
it wasn't even that difficult, and yet he did it and I didn't. Right? We went at lunch on Thursday. Monday morning, I walk into a fucking handwritten thank you card. Man, way ahead of me.
So speaking of thank you cards, like, that's what's something I found was really cool. Chris Gronkowski, ice shaker guy, right? Makes these cool things. He sent me something to check out, and he's like, hey, let me know what you think. And I was like, all right. So he sent me an email. It's a thank you email. Thank you for your business. But it was a personalized video. And it was him sitting down. Hey, Casey, I just wanted to say thank you for blah, 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 blah. But it was AI generated. The first part was. So he probably was sitting in a room, and he probably did, I just wanted to thank you, blah, blah, blah. So I think the Hey, Casey was AI generated. I was like, this is effing genius. I mean, he gets thousands and thousands of customers. So obviously he's not sitting there doing that. So I think it's just for e-commerce right now, but it was a 20-second video. I mean, think about that. You put that together for someone during a receipt, and they get this personalized thank you from the owner of the company, and you're in. I don't know how they do it. I'm sure they have a prompt you have to do so they can capture your voice, but it's that special touch, the personalization of a thank you, like you just did with a thank you card that someone wrote to you. It was probably his assistant, or it may have been him. Either way, they took the time.
It looks like a dude's handwriting. He signed. Yeah, and it was. What's interesting is I always talk about 3 sentences. It's 3 sentences. And there's no ask. That's the other thing, right? Which is good. There's no ask. It's other than hey. It's a straight gratitude, right? It's that appreciation without expectation.
Well, I think that's what, for me, it comes easy when the networking. I can go from combo to combo. I don't feel like I owe anybody anything. I don't feel like I let someone down if I didn't get to them or if I didn't talk to them enough. Because I think how I look at it is, it's when I'm in that environment, I'm there to do one thing, right? If you want to hang out and talk and catch up, let's schedule it, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you look at business, and I know a lot of us, especially in the beginning, get tied up with our emotions and like, hey, I really don't want to lose this person because they're a really good customer, but man, they're really dragging me through the coals here, and it really sucks.
Yep.
Well, keep it business. Look, if you can't bend, then say you can't bend, or if you don't want them to bend, say, look, this is how it is. Like, it's just how it is. I still love you. I'll still be there if you want to hang out and have a beer, but as of right now, for this transaction, this is the way it is. In networking, it's the same thing. You can be nice, but when you're talking to someone and the conversation starts kind of going away, you have to realize you're not on a one-on-one. So you don't want to really veer off the path of business. You want to say, hey, look, here's my information. Let's schedule a time. Let's go grab coffee. Let's go grab lunch or something. Because at that point, you have my full attention. I have yours. Now we can talk about other shit. Now we can actually build that relationship.
Yeah, there's a time limit. I don't know, 3-5 minutes. Right. And actually, this guy here I had lunch with.
I think 3 to 5 minutes is your prime time.
Yeah, even this guy that I had lunch with, it was interesting. I met him March Madness event. And he's like, man, I really enjoyed this conversation. I want to pick it up at a later date. I go, sounds good, right? He's now giving me permission. He found value in me and the conversation. And he's also now giving me permission to follow up with him and put a lunch on his books, right? My 3 to 5 minutes earned me 2 hours of his time. And I make it simple for people. Anybody can go to my website and book lunch with me. If you get an email from me, email signature, you can book lunch with me. That's my prime time. Hell, tomorrow I got 2 lunches because I block off 3 hours a day for lunches to be booked, right? It's a 90-minute schedule, whatever. So tomorrow I have the rare opportunity. I have at 11 o'clock that goes 11 to 12:30 and a 12:30 to 1. So I have 2 lunches tomorrow back to back. And
Wow.
one of them double dip on lunch.
You gonna
double lunch. I'm gonna double my lunch. Fucking love lunch. I haven't figured that out. I've done lunch into a coffee or coffee into a lunch, or I've done the.
Yeah, I have too.
I'll
tell you what's hard. Coffee into a coffee.
Oh yeah. Well, I did a decaf.
That.
I did I did a 6 for one time where I did I told you that. No, I told you my 6 for. I did a 6 for one day. So I did a breakfast, lunch, and after 5, plus I had coffee drinks. Right. So I had a 6 networking event. Now the after drinks was people that were at the after 5, and this is when I still drank. And I have a hard and fast rule that I do not go out for drinks with people I network with. And like that night was fine. This was before I had that rule. For a while there, I would go get a drink with somebody if that's what they asked. I rarely do it now. And the only time I'll do it now, A, I don't drink. And B, it has to be a man only. Because I never want to get sideways as to the intentionality. I'm there to sell my junk removal and nothing else. So we'll leave it at that. That's the joke. Well, that's it. Right. That's the other thing, right? Now that we're talking about networking, this conversation I had recently was right. What level of flirting, right, is acceptable when it comes to networking?
This is a good one.
This is a good one.
I would love to talk about this. So yeah.
Do you want to chime in or do you want to listen?
I think well, first off, I just want to preface this with
first of all,
flirting is subjective. And there is a difference between charm and flirt. Like you could be charming without flirting, but you can't flirt
without being charming.
Exactly. So for me, this question always comes up. It's going to be different for a woman, right? You can ask a woman right now, is it flirting or is it charming?
Yeah, it's you can say the same thing to the same 2 people and you can get 2 different answers.
Just turn off. Sorry, I had a generator outside my house all day and it just turned off and it felt like the world changed. Like it's so quiet now. Anyways,
is your wife in your office with you right now?
Yeah, she's at her desk.
Oh, I could not be.
That's why I said it's funny because we've been at networking events together, right? And the one thing she notices is I'm pretty charming. I don't mean to be, but I can pick up a conversation with just about anybody.
Yeah,
that's fair. I don't flirt and say, "Oh my gosh, I love your dress," or "Wow, you have a banging body. What have you been doing lately?" No, that's stupid, and that's 100% flirting. But it is kind of funny because the charm, I think, in sales especially, you have to have some sense of charm that relates to men and women, because you're going to talk to a woman a little bit differently than you will a man being a man. Just like a woman will talk a little bit differently with men than she does other women.
All right. Yeah, people buy from, I think, I got Bob Burr, I want to say, people buy from those they know, like, and trust. Know, like, and trust.
Like and trust.
Yeah, I know. I want to make sure. I misquoted it for a long time. Bob Berg, 1993. People, what's that? What are you saying?
No,
what you're saying.
No, I should have muted. Sorry.
Oh, fine. All right. Bob Berg, right, said people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And yes, there is an element of being charming and being likable that will serve you well in life and in business. And some people will or may interpret that as more than business. And I kind of go with the standard joke. I'm not going to fuck up my business, and there's more to it, essentially, to get what I want. Right. And so my business comes before other things, right? There's other ways. So yes, the difference is you can be likable, and then the dance, I guess, and this is where I struggle, is way above my pay grade, right? I listen to what people say, right? That whole, communication is 93% nonverbal. I focus on the 7% verbal, and right, should it come up, or if it comes up, or when I'm getting rid of all these shit words, should, if, terrible shit words. When it comes up later, I can go back and articulate, hey, what did I say? What did I say that led you to believe this thing? Because I went to lunch. This was years ago. I think this is pre-COVID. So that's how long ago this was. And I still remember it. There's a realtor. I was like, hey, let's grab lunch sometime. I'll give you a tour of my building, da-da-da. And she came. We did a tour of the building. We went to get lunch. And I was like, she started asking me personal stuff. And I answered because I'm like, I got a daughter and, I live here and da-da-da. And at the end, it was like this awkward hug. And I was like, that's weird. Like 6 months later, someone's like, oh yeah, you went on my date with my friend or you went on a date with my friend so-and-so. I go, I don't know what the fuck that is. I looked up on LinkedIn. I go, that wasn't a fucking date. And she goes, yeah. She was like upset afterwards. You didn't text her. I go, text her about what? Like, I met her at a networking event. We put lunch on the schedule. We went to fucking lunch. I set it up the same way I set up all my fucking lunches. So and in that case,
she was a realtor, right?
She was a realtor. I sit down with realtors, right? Like, right. And so that was that's interesting. And then same token, why I don't get drinks with anybody, because if my qualification of, are you my friend? I said this the other day to somebody. Actually, it was a woman, right? This woman, I've known her for years. She owns actually, hell, we had her on the podcast, JC. Probably on the podcast a little over a year ago. She owns a trash company up in Wisconsin, up in Eau Claire Market. We were on the podcast like a year ago. Anyways, her and I were talking about, right? She goes, because she's a sales assassin. She goes, oh yeah, guys flirt with me all the time, and I use it to my advantage. She goes, so long as I know where the line is. So this is actually two things we identified. So in order for me to call you my friend, right? If I'm going to call you my friend, you've been to my house or I've been to your house for a non-work related thing. That just cut down a significant amount of people that I would consider to be friends with, right?
That's interesting.
Not we were at somebody else's house. Not we hang out once a month. Well, no, that's a networking event. Not I came over to your house and fucking pulled stuff out of your basement, or you came to my house and worked on my HVAC. Right? That's
one of us has been to the other's house, non-work related.
That is correct.
That considers you a friend.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, okay, and now I look at my Vistage group, my CEO roundtable. We're very people I consider to be like the closest people with me. I consider right now, I vacation with these people, or go to retreats / vacation, right? And
through Vistage, though.
Through Vistage, yeah. Right, yeah. Right. What I'm saying, vacation with them. I've gone to dinner with them, gone to concerts with them, right? Done like social things with them outside of Vistage. One guy I picked up from his house one time on the way to the concert. So it's like, if I pick you up from your house, that doesn't count, right?
It's kind of like, have you ever been to this state? Well, I landed in the airport for a layover.
There you go. Nobody else in my entire Vistage group have I been to their house or they've been to my house. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. We're friendly. These are the people that are like some of the closest people in my life. We're not friends, right? Hell, you've been to my house.
I have,
like
multiple,
right? I've never been to your house.
No, because you would. I mean, think of it this way. Look at the.
It was always work related. Yeah,
it was either that or I stayed at your house because it was just me and it was just you. Whereas if you stayed at my house, well, I got 2 small kids and a wife, and you'd be fighting with the kids as far as sleep goes.
I'm bigger than them. So anyway, so the 2 rules we came up with is that the second rule is at what time do you stop answering your phone for customers? That's also needs to be the same time you stop texting with people you network with. So I said 6 p.m. 6 p.m. is my cutoff, right? 5 p.m. is when our phone stops. 6 p.m. is when I'll stop really engaging with customers. Now, if I get a wild hair up my ass, because she's like, yeah, I have some customers that are texting me at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I go, nope, that ain't a customer. That ain't a fucking customer no more. Unless it's a dumpster fire, pun intended. Do not text me after 6 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to make it very clear when we got one of our properties that have RV tenants, people that live there.
Yep.
And I'm not even kidding you, Andy. Midnight, 12:30, phone call, voicemails, text messages on weekends, obviously. So during the week, if you didn't know this, during the week in RV parks, nothing ever goes wrong. Ever. It's always perfect. But on the weekends, at about 10 o'clock, 11 or later, that's when all hell breaks loose for some reason.
Yeah.
But I finally had to say, look, stop. Just stop calling. Stop texting. If it's an emergency, call the police. If it's not an emergency and you need to talk to me really, really bad, then wait. You can wait.
Or you can tell them, hey, you can also put it on.
I'm an hour away anyways. So it's like
you can also have can you auto text? The other thing you can do is
I set that up.
Auto text driving mode, right? That says, hey, I'll get back to you tomorrow. If it's an absolute emergency, call 911.
Yeah. And that's the thing is
and set the expectation. I will respond tomorrow before 10 a.m.
Yeah. If I don't answer, you can leave a text, but don't expect an answer because now certain things obviously I'll respond to, like this past winter pipes burst because of the freeze. So obviously it's like, okay, I guess humanitarian reasons. You gotta have water. But yeah, I agree 100%. There's going to be times where you're still engaged in a conversation past those hours, maybe through text, but it's rare, and you don't want it to
versus
be
you start. Right, engage versus start.
Right,
if it's an ongoing, this is you haven't talked to this person in 2 weeks, and all of a sudden they're texting you at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, asking what you're doing, what you're wearing, what are you doing next week, right? That now we've crossed the line, right? Men or women, because the other thing, this is not even the flirting part. Some people got no one else to fucking talk to. I've had that with employees where it's like employees wanted to monopolize my time after work. And I'm like, hey man, we're at work. I got you. Once you leave here, when you need something, I got you. We ain't buddies. We ain't friends. So knowing where to draw that line is also critical. So those are the two rules that her and I came up with was whatever the time it is, you stop answering customers. That's when you stop texting fucking vendors. And you get to define what constitutes a friend. And her and I both agreed what constitutes a friend is you've been to their house or they've been to your house in a non-work related manner. There you go. Actually, I take that back. There's a second person I have been to his house. So two, and it was for a backyard party. So that constitutes he is my friend. Been to his house, backyard party. There you go.
Yeah, and I think there's also, I don't know, it's different, I guess, when you're in different industries. So the industry, like when I'm doing nonprofit stuff, right? Like there's some people that I work with that I also considered friends because they're not above me, right? They're like more of a part-time position in the nonprofit. Yep. Like I got a buddy named Zach. Never been to my house, never been to his house. I've known him for years. His first job after he got out of the Marine Corps was J-Dog. He worked for me when we first started. But I consider him a friend. But at the same time, I also know that I can't have certain conversations with him for two reasons. One, it's above his pay grade legitimately. Or two, it's above his knowledge. He doesn't really understand the conversation that I'm trying to have. So I also noticed that if I go golfing with somebody, so I'll go golfing with him, we talk about everything except business. But if I go golfing with someone, like I'm going golfing on Wednesday, we're going to have a business conversation because they know something I don't know. And that's the whole intent of the round for me. So I want to make sure that I'm intentional, even with my leisure sometimes. And I also find that when you have friends, when you mix the work with the friends, depending on the friends, you could have the benefit of both worlds. But I don't think it's appropriate if it's like a customer, if it's transactional and they're calling you or texting you at 9 p.m. like, hey, so, what do you think about this or whatever? Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things, one of the reasons why I generally don't go out on the weekends. I fill out my social life bucket doing networking. Like Friday night was a networking event at the Brewer game. So I talked to a few people, I ate a couple brats, I watched a half a Brewer game. I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'm going home. All right. That was that is the extent of me going out this weekend. Right. I worked on Saturday, Sunday. I don't know if I left my house. I never left my house on Sunday. My mom came over. We did, Mother's Day. Then I did some work around the house and I did a project with my dad. That was my day because most of my social life is filled up with networking. Speaking of going into this summer, someone texted us, asked what is, summer networking is different. I should ask you that. Is down south, is summer networking events different? Because it is up north.
Are the summers different for what?
Like, so the two big things that we see in summer are we have tons of golf outings in summer because we don't have them in winter, right? So golf outings
so right
start
now,
May through September.
April?
Yeah.
Okay, for us it starts in April through June is like golf tournament season.
Yeah. Does it get too hot after
July,
that?
August, you start getting real freaking. You'll still have them, but you kind of feel for the vendors out there in that tent because you're like, wow, they're sucking. But
all right, so
as far as the networking events, though, I will say it gets more creative in the summer because now you can implement the outdoors.
Yep.
We have it. I would say our hottest month is probably August.
Really?
Late July and August is when we see most of our triple digit consecutive days. And at that point, everybody wants to be inside. Because it's too damn hot. No one really wants to talk, even if you're in tank top and flip flops.
Yeah.
Just baking in the sun, you can only talk for so long. And I think a lot of us here's a good one. For instance, last week, Thursday night, I got invited to go to this big event called Fired Up. And it was in Keller where my old home base was. Funny thing, it's their 8th year. It was huge. Probably 400 people showed up. They do it for a nonprofit and for the chamber. It was awesome. I got to reconnect with people I haven't talked to in years. I got to meet a lot of people I didn't know. And it was outdoors at a landscape supply company because they have the space, right? And it was awesome. Live band. It was open. It was like tents, but it was open. So you're outside. And plus the nights here are awesome in the summer. Nights are, 80s, normally
beautiful.
Low 80s. But the guy came up to me and said, hey, this is a pretty cool event, don't you think? I said, yeah, I always miss it somehow. I always have something come up. He goes, well, you helped us on our second one ever. It was just 30 guys smoking cigars and drinking whiskey in an old barn. Do you remember that? And I go, yeah, actually I do. He goes, yeah, that was the old Rotary barn. And you helped us clean it out. And then you went to it. And I was like, that's the same event? He goes, yeah. I was like, holy crap. So in 2016 was their second year, I believe. And it was just 30 guys that got together for a networking event, smoking cigars over whiskey and some steaks. Now it's open to everybody, pretty much adults, but now it's 400 people strong. And people are like, we can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
But it all started with just networking. And now it became an event. Now they have a silent auction and they have whiskey pool and, they're doing different things with it. They have other vendors that are there now. So in Texas, it gets a little creative just because of the weather. I can only imagine up north when you have, I would assume in the wintertime, it's mostly just, is it like local bar and grills or is it conference rooms?
A lot of conference room. I mean, things slow. So here's what's interesting in the summer is you're right. We have a lot more creative stuff. We got party in the park, food truck, events, things like that. The challenge is your standard networking events see a huge attrition, right? So if a standard networking event gets 50 people, right, a business after 5 or a breakfast or a lunch, now it's like 40, 35, 40, because tons of people are on vacation or out with their families or, traveling, or they have kids for the summer and now it screws up their schedule, right? So what ends up happening is in the summer, it's like feast or famine. Like the golf outings, you get 200 people, and then you'll go to a, networking event where you're used to seeing 40, 50 people and it's 20. So, for us, the key is consistency. We want to make sure we are consistently showing up to all the networking events because the chambers, they watch who is and who does and who does not show up. And then we also have some events, they stop for the summer. So there's one event I'm part of. They do not have an event in June. July, they have a free open house event. And then August, they're off. So for those 3 months, they only have one event. So basically, it's a membership organization. They do 9 events a year, September through May, where they basically recess over the summer, and then they use the summer July event, a free event for everybody, as their let's get people here free, tell them the benefit of this group, and then they'll sign up for a year membership, So one of the things that Taylor asked us is how should we approach golf outings? My strategy is the same exact at every single golf outing. Get a hole sponsor. Get a hole sponsor where you can spend 5 minutes with them at the hole. Not ice cream truck, not fucking hot dog cart, not cocktail, not best ball or not best ball. Sometimes they do the ball toss. I have one fucking move and one move only, and that is whole sponsorship. And we've done the other things, like when we've signed up late and all that was left is like the hot dog vendor. And it's like, yeah, it was good. You get 30 seconds on a hot dog vendor. You get 5 to 10 minutes when you're a whole sponsor. Because chances are, most people are receptive. They're like, all right, hey, you're a whole sponsor. We're going to give you 5 minutes. Like, we're not going to also have a game, make it fucking interactive, and then always give away free shit. Because golf outings, they're exciting. I never talk about what we do. Obviously, junk removal's in the name. I am not even handing out fucking promo material. I hand out pens and koozies and t-shirts. All fun shit. If you give someone a fucking trifold brochure on a fucking golf tournament, they ain't fucking taking
stuck in the cart.
It gets stuck in the cart. They use that to
Unless
fucking
you put it in a nice cooler and then they'll throw it away at home.
No, exactly. If you get right, you put a koozie on that cocktail, 50-50, it makes it home. Right?
Yeah.
I tell you, trifold,
they're gonna wipe up a hole, but make it interesting. So
do something. Right. You gotta do something to make yourself memorable. I know.
Yeah, so
I know. Trust me, you've talked about this at nauseum about how much you golf.
I have to.
Remember a year ago when you talked shit about golf? You're like, it's weak. Why would anyone fucking do that shit?
Yeah, man.
And you golfed one time. Yeah, you were awakened. So awakened.
Oh,
and now you're like, I'm golfing on Wednesday, no big deal. Yeah, you pulled a 180. Big time.
But I will say this.
I'm gonna give you shit.
Had I known what I know now, obviously, I wish I would have golfed way earlier in life because it's a lot of fun for me. It's a mental release, but it's also a good way. Think about this. You take someone up on a golfing outing, right? Just one-on-one. That's 4 hours potentially.
So you just said a golfing outing.
Golf outing.
I know you said golfing outing.
Oh, golfing outing, whatever.
Yeah.
You take someone up on it. Yeah, you take someone up on it. That's potentially a 4-hour one-on-one with somebody, Yeah,
there's not a lot of people I want to spend 4 hours with.
Hold on, Bub.
What's your kid? All right, kid came in. We have a kid break. Oh, you know what? Actually, Taylor, run down to my Jeep and grab. I have a hat. I didn't even. This is the best part of my week in Vegas. I didn't even talk about this. I got to give a shout out. Got to give a plug. I just opened up my Jeep. Go down to my Jeep and grab my black. You'll see a black RDK hat. Yep, grab that. See, that's how transparent we are on the podcast. Like Casey put his on mute because his kid's there and kid might drop an F-bomb. We can't have that. Me on the other hand, I'm like, and me on the other hand, I'm like, hey Taylor, our producer, hey, go grab something I forgot to bring. Oh, I do need to open this.
So I was going to say, if you sponsor a hole though, like the one thing I liked, they had a hole-in-one competition.
Yep.
Right, and on this one hole-in-one, if you make it, you win this brand new Jeep.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they probably picked a hole that's very hard to do a one-on.
No, he's back on mute.
But hold on. Yeah, there you go. They probably picked a hole that's very hard to do a hole-in-one on. But the point of it is, everyone stopped, looked at the Jeep, thought it was awesome, read the rules, like okay, and then everyone did it. Everyone was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go for a hole-in-one right here."
Yeah, we're not
because
laying
I want this Jeep.
Yeah, 100%.
So you could literally do something outlandish like, "Hey, I'm going to sponsor this hole, and I'm also going to say a hole-in-one, and you get this, and it could be anything."
And you could buy insurance against that. The likelihood.
Yeah, because I mean, it's the probability of it happening is very, very low, but it also gains the most. Like, oh, I definitely want to try this, and I definitely want to read this. I mean, hey, if you sign up right now, give me your name, address, phone number, and then try to make this shot. And if you make it, cool. We'll let you know you won the Jeep.
So real quick, I'm opening my box that I got before I went to Vegas. Our good friend Xavier, Junkify. Junkify.com. Thank you for the. Is it a Yeti? I don't know if it's a real Yeti. Whatever. It's a Yeti. It's one of these tumblers. I'm going to drink my coffee in it. Thank you, sir, for that. Had you on the podcast twice. You killed it both times. Also, I'm going to put this in real quick. So I was in Vegas. I did a lot of cool things in Vegas. And one of the things that was really cool was I ended up at the Bellagio, 33rd floor, private room. Anybody that, well, I think I put it on my socials. I ended up having dinner with Garwin McNeilis, who, if you've ever seen garbage trucks out there, you'll see the McNeilis brand. It was sold to Oshkosh Truck in 97, and Oshkosh Truck is like an hour and a half from us. And the freeway that Oshkosh uses is like a half mile from us. So anyways, to get their trucks throughout the entire country. So I see these trucks all the time. So anyways, RDK Sales saw me opening night of Waste Expo at the opening night ceremonies at this pretty cool place. Area 15, that's what it's called. There we go. I rack my brain. Anyways, I'm wearing my Trash Talk Business Podcast shirt with the big QR code, green shirt, big QR code on the back, same one I wore at Junk Con and other places. And I'm wearing my camel pants, right? That's what I do. And the owner of RDK comes up to me. He's like, "Hey man, what's with your QR code?" I go, "It's for my podcast." And he clicks, he goes, "Well, I haven't never heard of your podcast before." I'm like, "Because you haven't met me before. Now you have." He was all right. And he asked me like two other things. He's like, "What are you doing tomorrow night?" I was like, "Nothing." He goes, "Come to our party." I'm like, "Cool." He goes, "Come hungry." I go, "All right, bet." Like, don't tease me with a good time. I get that. So this is my Tuesday night. So I'm gonna explain my Tuesday to you. Probably one of the best days of my life. Not gonna lie. Tuesday morning, I get up. First thing, well, I got up at 5:26 in the morning because there was shit happening back in the rear, and so I dealt with that. 8:30, I do my keynote. I had a great keynote. Great time walking around. I went and got lunch. I got lunch with I can't think of his name. Zach Wiley, Vets Trash Service. That's trash removal. Now I gotta remember what the hell his company is. We used to work together. Got lunch with him. There it is. Yeah, Vets Junk Removal and Dumpster Rental. Was that it? Yes, VETS. Capitalized Vets. Here we go. All right, I had lunch with him at this bagel joint right next to the conference center. I always get the original gangster with the pastrami, add cheese, beautiful sandwich on toasted rye. Then I went back to the room, cleaned up, answered some emails, did the thing, whatever. Then I went to this VIP party at this brand new Flola Blue, I don't know, brand new hotel in Vegas. And I've gone there a few times already. Brand new hotel. I can't think of the name of it now. I'm butchering this.
Do they demo Circus yet?
Nope. Circus is still there. I walk right past it. I go to this VIP party and it was great. No complaints there. Great. There it is. I don't know how do you pronounce this? Fontainebleau. Anyways, brand new hotel.
Camera's bouncing.
Oh, it's because I'm shaking my leg and touching the computer at the same time. That's why. And also, well, here's the other thing. My I normally shoot that camera, which is independent. This camera's right here on my table. So when I'm typing and doing stuff, it's all over the damn place. Anyways, great VIP party. Then I go to the Bellagio for RDK Sales event, and I had like 15, 20 minutes in between. So I went to a craps table. I love craps. Nobody else on the table. I like to play craps, blackjack by myself. That's how I am. I operate. I come out, I lose $100. I come out a second time, I lose $100. I come out a third time, I go into my wallet. I go into my pocket. My pocket is my spending money, right? I give myself a budget. I go into my pocket, I pull out enough to be like, okay, I'm done after this, right? I'm gonna let it ride. We're gonna shake some fucking dice. I put up, I don't know, probably 200, 250. I'm like, let's get a little aggressive. We're gonna be done. Let's fucking go out. I walk away from the table with $1,500. If anybody knows craps, I hit the all tall small, which means I hit every number between 2 and 12, with the exception of the number we don't talk about. I hit all the numbers. I hit a couple of the numbers, a couple of things, and I go, color me up. They go, good choice. So 20 minutes, $1,500, walked my happy ass over the elevators. And now I was in one of those moments in life, right? Where I'm like, camo pants, t-shirt, walking around the Bellagio. People are looking at me weird. I'm going to walk in this VIP party. What the hell am I doing? Right now I'm having all these moments. And these same moments that we often have when it comes to networking. This feeling of, I don't belong. I haven't made it. I got dirt on my boots. These people know what the fuck they're doing. Let me tell you something. No one knows what the fuck they're doing. That's where you're going to networking event. Is you're going to figure it out when you get there. I go up to this VIP party. Right? And the party starts at 7, I want to say. Right? So I get there. It starts at 7. And I get there like quarter after. So it's not like right when it starts, but I'm definitely not the show up an hour late. You know, what do they call that? What the fuck is that?
Fashionably late.
Casually late, but there's another one. Whatever. Not casually late, but fashionably. Thank you. There it is. Right. I ain't fucking fashionable. I got the camo pants and the work boots, Jack. Right. So I go up and I get up there. There's like 15 people in the room. And of the 15, 10 of them work for RDK. So it's me and like 3 or 4 other engineers. And these guys are all big players. These guys buy, like the one guy's like, oh yeah, we bought 250 trucks last year. I'm like, of course you did. Like, why would you have bought 250 trucks, you know? And the food's not even out yet, and I don't drink. So the cocktails are there. I'm totally out of my fucking element, right?
Yeah.
So, and you know what? I still fit in. I still figured it out. And then the food comes out. I ain't none too proud, right? They do a little, hey, thanks for having us, blah, blah, blah. I'm the first guy in line, right? I'm there to eat, Jack. I was told to come hungry. I'm making mission. And then I go in the back room, like, all right, I'm gonna sit back here quietly, eat, decompress, think about the day, think about my life. And then all of a sudden, Mr. McNeilis walks in and sits down across from me. And I'm spending a half an hour with him. And then they start bringing people in, like all their big accounts, like, come meet him. And I'm sitting there, like, and then I'm like caught in this corner because I'm like, I don't want to monopolize the guy's time. And the owner of RDK could not have been fucking cooler. He's like, yeah, you know, we're like parading people in. And I'm sitting there having a full-blown conversation with his wife about, you know, humanitarian work in Cuba and my time in Gitmo and military service and the industry. I ended up having like 4 fucking plates of food. A filet mignon, lobster, crab, shrimp. I'm a foodie, right? I'm going to put it down.
I want you to do that.
Oh, my God. And you know what? The guys from RDK, even as I'm leaving, the owner and the guy that's going to take over soon, they're like, man, we don't give a shit if you ever buy from us. Take a fucking hat. I'm glad you had a good time. You're invited next year and every year. Like, thanks for showing up. Thanks for representing this industry. Like, that's what, you know what? I'm sitting here. Like, I was so excited for this hat, to rock this hat on the podcast. I'm so excited to tell anybody that wants a truck. They do refurb trucks. They do new trucks. Like, I want to rep them so bad because they did what often people that have a scarcity mindset do not do. They went out and they gave without intention of anything in return. They have an abundance mindset. You know what? We're going to get 50 people, 100 people in this room. We're going to wine and dine them. And some of them we will never see again. And some of them will never buy from anybody else but us. Right. And they're willing to take that chance. And there's 14,000 people, 14 to 15,000 people that go to Waste Expo. There was probably 1,000 people, 1,500 people maybe at the opening night ceremony, right, party. And they fucking pointed me out of the crowd and invited me. Like, that's the mindset that will get you to win in networking. Going in, like, you know what? I got all the resources and abundance in the world that I can give. I can give knowledge. I can give information. I can make introductions. I can do all these things. And again, I just described all the things that RDK did. The food, the 33rd story, the, you know, taking time to meet with me, right? At the end of the day, I felt so fucking grateful. I felt so empowered. I went from feeling like, man, do I belong here, to like, you know what? Look at me. Like, and I made a post the next day, like, you know, look where the waste and recycling world has got me today. Because I remember being in Vegas. The first time I went to Vegas, the first casino I ever went to was the Bellagio, and I was way out over my skis. I was like $25 a hand at blackjack. Like, I don't know what kind of budget y'all think I got. I ain't got time for this, right? Like, first time I went to Vegas.
Where are the $5 tables, man?
I know, dude. I went like $1,500. Like, I better not lose this. You know what I'm saying? And so where I've gotten in the last 8 years doing this full time, like, and the opportunities I have, and I felt in that moment that I fucking belonged. And that's the thing. When you go into networking with this scarcity mindset, like, you got to take something from the group in order for it to be effective. No, you got to go into networking with this mindset that, you know what, I got so much to give. Look at you talking about that situation you were in back in 16, right? When you went to the event, like, you went with 30 dudes because, you know, you obviously had the time, and then you had the resources to clean out the barn later with your company. It's like, and now you weren't able to make it all those years. And again, look, now you had the time again. When you have that abundance mindset going to networking, you will be a successful networker. When you go with the everybody here owes me something because I fucking showed up, dude, you're already
well,
dead.
How many times? And that's the other thing is, let me ask you a question. How many times you go to a networking event, you have, I don't know, you probably hit 15 people, and you may talk to one or two of them ongoing after that. But imagine you have 2 solid days with a group of people that invested $2,000 to go to the same place. Like, you're there for a reason. You're not there to go and F off.
Nope.
So the mindset's already there. Now you just got to connect. Because when I went to DC, man, I felt out of my element. Hell, I didn't even bring a tie. And our first major dinner was a tie required. And I was like, shit. So this guy's like, hey, I got a tie. And the only knot I knew how to tie was a double Windsor, which apparently is like really fucking hard. But for some reason, I knew how to do it. It was the only one I knew.
That's my go-to. That's my go-to.
Well, there's a Windsor and there's a double Windsor. I didn't know the single Windsor. I just
the double Windsor is the triangle, nice triangle. Yeah. I know the standard shitty up and around, and I also know the double Windsor. You got to flip flop when you do the double Windsor. You got to start with the short side on the left
here, and then But what's funny
short
is,
side on the right. Yeah. So here's the thing. This is like 3 or 4 years ago. I watched the fucking video and redid it in my head and like watched myself in the mirror, and all of a sudden it clicked. And now I haven't fucking. Now I don't think about it. I'm like, yep. You get this nice fatty ass fucking triangle, like a fucking boss. Anyway, double Windsor.
That's the thing is, I felt so uncomfortable and out of the ordinary. I didn't feel like I belonged. But everyone there told me the same thing. I mean, you look sharp. You look sharp. You know what? None of us know what we're doing here. You know, you had the vice president of Lockheed there. You had the whatever director of big company A, B, and C. And they were all there doing the same thing. Hey, you know what? We're here to do this thing. Afterwards, we're here to F off and go drink and actually talk, have meaningful conversations. And what's funny is we went to the Army Navy Club in DC. It's not the golf club. It's just it's a club. Apparently, it's very prestigious. I didn't get in. But there's some stories. But, Senator Ted Cruz was one of the speakers there, right? Yeah. And I'll tell you this, the biggest thing I got from meeting him was just saying, hey, I got to meet Ted Cruz. No offense to him. I don't know the guy from anyone, but everything he was saying, I felt like I've heard before because it's his job. It's a politician. He was politicking. But everyone afterwards, I was actually having a meaningful conversation with these people because I had the time to do it. We already knocked out the business stuff. Now we're here to actually get to know one another. And they all said the same thing. Casey, what do you do? Oh, you've never been to DC before? Shoot, you look like a natural. And I'm like, really? Because I felt super out of my element.
You've been to DC. You and I were in DC before.
I'm just saying, I told them I went one time for a conference, but I'm not familiar with DC. I didn't know where we were going.
Oh, yeah. You're out of your element.
Most of these people they go there multiple times a year.
Yeah.
So for me, it was out of my element.
Yeah.
Well, they're in that role. But
I'm saying that delegates. Yeah. They're there. That's their. Yes. AO.
And that's the thing is the point. I went because it was an opportunity for me to get out of my comfort zone, to meet new opportunities, not to just meet people, but to meet new opportunities because you never know where they'll lead. And sure enough, man, it fucking worked. And I tell you, if you don't invest, you're not going to get a return. And I invested, $2,500 to make that trip happen, but it was worth every penny.
Oh, I said for
I personally
years,
didn't invest.
Yeah, someone did. No, I said for years that when I looked at conferences, I was like, I don't have that kind of money. Now I have a set aside every year, real money to go to conferences. Like it fills me up as a person, and yet, and also I went to a conference a year and a half ago. Met one person who introduced me to another person that led to $750,000 in revenue. Right? It's like I'll never get in front of that person when I don't show up. So when I show up, I have a chance. Or even Waste Expo here. It's like the first year I went to Waste Expo, I think I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast. I went to Waste Expo 2 years ago. First time. No fucking clue what I was doing. I went to like 11 conferences that year to figure out which ones were a good fit for me. And I went to Waste Expo, and for 2 days I walked around fucking lost. I didn't know a fucking person. It was, like the podcast has just started. I was only recently out of, my non-compete. So I wasn't, in the, I wasn't in the world of junk removal again for a while. And so I go there, and the last hour I was there, last 2 hours, I had like 2 hours from when it opened till I had to leave for the airport. I'm like, let me go walk around the conference one more time. So I'm walking, and I run into this guy with a camera. His name's Kevin, the videographer. And I walked up to him. Did I tell you this? Have I told this story before to you, or have I told on the podcast? Whatever. I'll tell it again. I walk up to him, and they're shooting content, and it's like the long shot down the hallway, and down the aisle, and you can tell this guy's like trying to do testimonials. Like, this is why you need to come to Waste Expo next year, kind of shit, And actually, I'll plug Waste Expo right now while I'm here. May 5 through 9 next year. It's in Vegas again. Waste Expo, go. Done. There's the plug. I'll be speaking, or the plan is I'll be speaking at some point. Anyway, so I go up to this guy, and I go, hey, are you doing testimonials? He goes, yeah. I go, yeah, I'll do the next one. And he like rolls his fucking eyes. He's like, fuck, dude. We have so many people that walk up and think they know what the fuck they're doing. And the guy that was talking at the time, was not enunciated. He was like, yeah, Waste Expo, it's pretty good here. Meet people. Right. And yet, like, he wanted to be on camera. And then as soon as the camera turned on, he didn't want to be on camera no more. Anyway, so, there's never been a camera I didn't love. And more importantly, there's never been a camera that didn't love me. Right. So I walk up and I'm like, what's the question? So I'm like, and they're like, hey, why'd you come to Waste Expo this year? I'm Andy Weins, Camo Crew Junk Removal. And the reason I come to Waste Expo this year and every year is because it's a great opportunity to meet with vendors, see the best things in the industry, and know what's going on the next year so I can plan my next year strategically, tactically, and mentally to have the most impact in my market. Right? Let's fucking go. Right? So like by the third one, this guy's like, dude, like they had like 10 questions and normally asked like 2 or 3. He's like, let me get a soundbite for all of them. And by the end, I was like, hey, what do you want? A 30, a 15, a 45? What do you want? He's like, give me a 30. So I fucking cranked. He goes, 32 seconds. I go, all right, you're fucking welcome, America. Right? So 10 minutes of a 4-hour conference changed my life. That 10 minutes got me in front of the right people. So the next year I was an insider last year. I won 40 under 40. I had 4 different speaking gigs last year. I had a speaking gig this year. I got in front of John Sacco, who did the podcast or the series on YouTube Repurposed. Got in front of Brad Eckler, who has a Scrap Life. All of those things in my life came from 10 minutes of me showing up. And that is why you need a network. And that is why you need an abundance mindset. You have an abundance to give this world, and what is it you can give? When it came to Waste Expo, I didn't have all this money to spend. I wasn't a major fucking sponsor. I didn't have a booth. I was one of 15,000 people walking around figuring it out. And what I had to give was a few minutes of my time in my voice to be heard. And that ultimately was the market responded saying, yep, we want that. So when you go to networking, what you got something to give, you got to give it shamelessly and authentically without expectation of anything in return, and then watch what happens. Watch and listen to how the market responds. That's the important in networking. Real quick, let's go to the couple things. Comments. Robert, thanks for the discussion today. I learned something new each episode. Boom. Robert, we had him on the podcast, right? I want to say we had him on the podcast.
We met him at Junk.
We met him at JunkCon, JRA's JunkCon. Cool fucking dude. One truck operation down south somewhere. Good guy, loves learning the industry. Good dude. Dylan said keep pushing. Salino Junk Removal. It's Timmy Reeves, right?
Selena. North of Dallas.
What's going on, guys? You're seeing it. We're talking networking. Xavier. Super valuable episode, Andy. Great mindset. Yes, all about the mindset when it comes to networking. And finally, Zach. I'm confused. We can't even show the whole thing. Zach said, new company here started in March. My only question is it against the law to use another company can if they don't pick up the can? I'm not your lawyer.
Just find out.
Don't fuck with somebody else's can. I know here in our state, junk or waste companies will not dump somebody else's can.
Mm-hmm.
The liability, the this or that. We'll just leave it at that. When it comes to junk removal, I can certainly help. And then finally, we have this other comment here. I'm going to put it up in the banners. I'm going to figure this out because I'm a fucking adult. No big deal. Let me see if I can do it. Oh, boom. Look at that. Chris Brett wants to recommend dump trailer specs when starting out. Anything pull with a half-ton pickup. Not a dump trailer. You will fuck that thing up. Casey and I, speaking from personal experience, I can tell you our Dodge 1500 half-ton truck. We thought it was awesome. And Chris, it was a huge upgrade. Right? We went from my Jeep to a Hummer to a Dodge 1500 truck. We're like, dude, we made it. No four-wheel drive. Could not operate in the snow. The trailer drove the truck. The truck did not drive the trailer. Go get yourself a 250 and then a dump trailer. Casey, got anything to add to that?
Yeah, man. I started off with a half-ton Lincoln Mark IV. That's right.
Oh my God. Let's not talk about the
Lincoln.
Fanciest truck.
I immediately, about 3 months later, needed a 3/4 ton diesel.
There you go. 3 months.
Because it's a man's job. I mean, I don't care what age we live in.
Hold on. I said
we don't.
Robert. I said Robert was down south. He's in Washington. Honestly
he's in Washington State.
He's the opposite. That's the opposite of down south. That is north and west, and I say it was south and east. There we go. We did meet him though. He did say that we met you at Juncut. Cool fucking dude.
Yeah. I would definitely get a truck that can do some stuff. I mean, you got to think about it. What's the best dump trailer to put with a half-ton pickup? Well, not enough, because are you going to be hauling around lawnmowers or heavy stuff? And for us, we were in Texas. A lot of jobs we did, stone, dirt, whatever. We want to make sure we can maximize our business. And by doing that, we needed a 3/4 ton diesel. Plus, it lasts longer. I mean, it just does. A half-ton pickup is not meant to tow a bunch of weight every single day throughout a city. It's just not. So my recommendation is use it for a marketing vehicle.
Yeah, the only time I recommend a half-ton is when you already have one. When you already have one, fine. Go get you a utility trailer. I always recommend going with a 16 cubic yard dump, or not dump, but 16 cubic yard capacity. Reason is it's always a way to simplify your math, right? A quarter is to 4 cubic yards, right? It makes math a lot simpler. So I've always gone on the 6x12x6 platform. So when we used to run utility trailers, we did 6x6, 6x6x12. When we do have a dump truck or a dump trailer, we went 6x12. And then also when we've scaled now, pricing wise, our dump trucks are 24 cubic yards. So we know it's a trailer and a half. Our small box truck is 32 cubic yards. So it's 2 trailers. And then our large box trucks, depending on how we pack them, we can get up to 4 trailers in them. But that's like to the gills. So typically we price those at 3 to 3.5, depending on how high we stack stuff. And we have everything marked off in the truck. So I like 16 cubic yards because it makes it simple math. I hear a lot of guys that are driving like 5x8s, 5x10s, like 4-foot sides. Then you're at 12 cubic yards, 10 cubic yards. It makes it difficult to scale. So if you're in the position where you have a half-ton truck and a small trailer and it costs you nothing, go. Other than that, we're going to spend money. All right, let's get to the big finish with respect to time. We're a few minutes over. Casey, top takeaway from today.
Step outside your comfort zone and go network. Go meet new people. If you're not willing to do that, then might as well close up shop and go back to being an employee.
Yeah, I love it. Show up when you show up. When you go on a network, be present. And be present as you, who you are, what makes you unique, what makes you awesome. Because again, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. Your brand, your business, your position within the business is insignificant. What is significant is who you are as a person. And when you put yourself out there, you will attract people that will know, like, and trust you. That's as simple as, again, shout out RDK Sales, unofficial sponsor of today's episode. Appreciate everybody, the listeners. We did get some people jumping in there. Zach, someone wants to know what expos in East Texas. Let's get back to you on that. I don't know anything about East Texas other than Casey is there, kind of. All right, I'm Andy Weins. He's Casey Bubba Lawrence. Last thing, Taylor, do we have a guest next week? We got a teaser for the next. No guest yet. We have an open slot. Today was intentional, no guest, because we're going to talk Waste Expo and we talk networking. We got there. No guest next week. So if you want to be the guest on the Trash Talk Business Podcast, go to trashtalkbusinesspodcast.com. Apply to be a guest, and we would love to have a conversation with you to see how you can grow, scale, and build your junk removal dream. I'm Andy. He's Casey, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Tap subscribe or follow to get the latest episode. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a review and tell a friend to listen. To learn more, visit Trash Talk.